just trying to find out where all the noise is coming from. Okay, so we might turn the sound on the simulator down a little bit. So you can see there's a whole queue of aeroplanes going out at the moment to take off. I'm wondering where they are going, to be honest. So let's go and have a look at the map at Flight Simulator. So, see now, Simbrief has told me to take off on runway 1 left, but they are all queuing up for 19 right. There's no wind. So I'm thinking I need to go into Simbrief and correct it. So let's go to Simbrief again, go to dispatch and create a new flight, and we'll go from, we'll call our flight whatever number we want, KSFO to, where are we going to? KSNA, which is John Wayne. A320N is the aircraft type. So it's recommending 1 left. So we are going to make it fit in with what's going on here, which is 19 right. So we'll make it do a new route. There it's got its new route. So we're using 19 right now, and we're going to come in on 20 right on whatever it says basically at the other end. So we'll generate the route. But we're going into John Wayne anyway, so it's near Long Beach. Okay, so they're noisy so-and-sos, aren't they? We're going to jump inside our aeroplane, which is a bit quieter in here, and we can have a look at getting this aeroplane ready for flight. So we've programmed our flight via Simbrief. That means we can then go into the overhead panel and put the batteries on. So none of my key combinations are going to work apparently. I think the Flight Sim update has reset them all, which is really useful. Have I got any plans? Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you how to set up views while we're here. So I'm going to center my screen up, look up in the air, pull my camera downwards using the keyboard, and there we go. So about there for the switches we will need. Okay, so it's not quite in the middle, is it? That's better. So Control-Alt-1 will get me that. So, and then for Alt and 2, I need a close-up view of the MCDU. So we'll come over and we'll lower the camera down. So this is how I do it. And then Control-Alt-2 will get me that. So then let's try them out. So Alt and 1 gives me overhead. Alt and 2 gives me that one. Maybe Alt and 3 might be useful to get the tablet from time to time. So let's straighten it up. Then move it sideways. And then lift it in the air because there was a bit of a keyhole distortion going on there. There we go. Control-Alt-3 will give us the tablet. So we get an... We'll just try that quickly. There we go. Alt-1, Alt-2, Alt-3. Okay, so we have the views we need now. So Alt-1, overhead, go and turn the batteries on in the aircraft, and the power is coming on. And external power on if it's available, which it is. Strobe goes to auto. Nav light goes to 2. APU and master switch on. And then start the APU. cruise supply is already on. That's unusual. So there's a difference there in the start procedure. So arm the emergency exit lights. No smoking sign goes to auto. And then set the inertial reference system to nav mode across the board. Okay, so we can come down. Do we need to brighten any screens up? These are quite dim, aren't they? So let's go and see. Oh, it looks like they're as bright as they'll go, which is interesting that they are so dim. Anyway, so Control 5 will take us over to here. And we're going to go into the options page first and make sure we've got our SimBrief pilot ID in. We have. So then we can go to the dashboard page and we can fetch our SimBrief flight plan. So we're going from KSFO to KSNA following the plan as programmed. We should be able to see the operational flight plan in here now. We can. So then we can go down to the payload page. We can click the SimBrief button, which will load the numbers, and we can apply that load to the aircraft. We can do it instantly. And then we can go to the takeoff page. We can click the sync button. Then we can populate the weight from the payload page. So we want the gross weight, 65,000 kilograms, basically. So 65,000, and we want it in thousands. So 65 should be enough. So then we can calculate, and that gives us our numbers. And we should... Oh, we've got a limitation on runway length. Interesting. Oh, maybe we'll have to come back here after we tell it which runway we're using. But that's interesting, it hasn't given us the option to send it... Oh, it has, sorry, it's got send to FMGS, that's fine. I'm just being blind. So Alt and 2 takes us over to the MCDU, so we can go and clear this. I think I've got it set to instant alignment, so that's why it's got all the messages there. So FMGC. Okay, that all looks fine. Go to the init page. We can do an init request, which will pull it from SimBrief, and it comes in. The cost index has come in automatically. I'm just going to go and look down through my notes here. So if we go and just double check, so yeah, we need to put the 0 fuel weight in, which will pre-calculate it. We can do fuel planning, which will pull back the block fuel, or it should do. Yep, there it does. Confirm it. We can clear that message out as well. So then we can go to the performance page. We can... Oh, of course, we have to put flaps in. So we're using flaps 1, I think. So we go and have a quick look just to make sure. Flaps, yeah, 1. So Alt and 3. No, 2, wasn't it? Sorry, I'm mixing up my own keys now. So flaps 1. It's interesting that hasn't come across actually. So let's go and clear that message out. So we've got the flex temp. Was that on the tablet as well? Flex 58. Um, 0.5 up on the... So I always forget how to type this. It's 1/0.5 up. I think that will work. Yeah, it will. So then we should be able to... That's interesting. Why can't we put the V-speeds in? Oh, we have to confirm takeoff data, and that does it for us. Sorry, I've forgotten how this airplane worked. So this is why I'm doing this, to refresh my memory of how this version of the Airbus works. It's interesting that they're all slightly different, isn't it? So that's all fine. We won't be doing the approach data until we're on the way. So let's go and look in the flight plan page. Sorry, the init. Yeah, flight plan. And then we should be able to go through and see if there's any discontinuities. It's a fairly straightforward plan, to be honest. So no, it all looks good. So let's go and look at the operational flight plan. So we want to... How do we scroll up and down in this thing? Can we just drag it? No. Oh, here we go. It's just a bit slow to respond, that's all. So there's a fuel plan, which we already pulled across. Yeah, it really is slow. Here's what we're after. So... Oh no, that's the alternate route. Sorry. Route ID. Here we go. And also, if we look in SIBRIEF, we get the summarized view anyway. So 37,000 feet it wants us to climb to. So let's come back in here. We're going to go and program the MCDU. Sorry, the I always get this right, FGCP, Flight Guidance Control Panel. So it's on managed speed mode. We're going to go and set this to the departure runway direction, which was 190. So the quicker way is this way around the compass. Not that it makes much difference because I overran it anyway. We're going to go and set this immediately for our cruise altitude, so 37,000 feet. Okay. We are going to be using managed heading mode, but obviously not until we've switched the autopilot on, if that makes any sense. Calibrate the barometric pressures. So let's go overhead and get some other bits and pieces done. So we can go and put the seatbelt signs on. We can, APU will be up and running by now, so the external power can come off. And we can arrange our pushback. Although we could start the engines here, we'll be good about this. So we need to go and get rid of the external power. I presume that's in here somewhere. So let's go in ground and get rid of the GPU now. And the chocks. Did it? It didn't get rid of the GPU, did it? There we go, GPU removed. Good. So Shift and P will begin the pushback. Does this have pushback control? I wonder. Yes, it does. So I wonder if it integrates with the truck. Will it go aft all of a sudden when the truck starts pushing? I haven't come off the parking brake yet. So if I come off the parking brake, it'd be interesting to see if this lights up. Or even if it does light up if it thinks it's going backwards. No, it doesn't. But no, it doesn't anyway, so it's just a command to the truck. So we want to... Doesn't matter which way we turn really, does it? There's an empty space there though, so we'll tell it to go right. So welcome to San Francisco with FSLTL running in the background, so we're full of aeroplanes here. And they're all going about doing their own things. There's somebody coming in, look. That's got to be a human. There's somebody buzzing the airfield like an idiot, isn't it? Yeah. Or it could be a rejected approach, of course. You never quite know, so it's best not to judge. So press Shift and P. Oh, there's somebody behind us now. Parking brake back on. And now, is that truck going to let go? It's not going to, is it? It is now. Okay, so we better get on with starting our engines, seeing as there's somebody waiting behind us. So, Alt and 1 takes us overhead. We'll go and put the beacon light 2 on. And we're going to go and put the fuel pumps on. Put the APU bleed on. and then we come down into the cockpit, we turn the ignition to start, and we start engine number 2, and we can see the N2 is coming up immediately. So we can see TCAS, we can go and switch that on while we're waiting. So TCAS goes to on and TARA. APU bleed is on, ignition is on, we know these things, parking brake is on, we know this too, so we're just waiting for the engines to come up. We can go to flaps 1 while we're sat waiting. So we should see this start to animate. Unless, of course, and it has done it again, the USB driver hasn't kicked in, so I'm disconnecting my controls and reconnecting them. And we will recycle the flaps. And there it goes. After giving it a bit of encouragement. Okay, so engine number 2 is started, engine number 1 next. Keep an eye on the numbers so we can see N2 is coming up. Fuel flow is good. While we're waiting for that, should we go and have a look in the information in here? So if we go to wind, did we fetch the wind? Do a wind request. So obviously every piece of information we can give the aeroplane makes it more accurate. Okay, engine's just coming up. Start sequence will kick off after about 60%, I think. There we go. So it's saying the wind shear is not working, so we'll set it to system number 1. So that's all predictable so far. So APU bleed can come off now, so can the APU. And we put the taxi light to, or the nose light to taxi. I've gone to head tracking, and it's not quite centered it, has it? Now it has. Okay. So we're over here. I've done this on purpose, so we're going to have a taxi around the whole airport. So we will go and clear out any route that was there from before. We're going to taxi out and go all the way around, because we need to get to... We're going to go all the way around here. Because we want... Oh no, we're going to 19. Yeah, 19 right. Okay. Should we go and get Navigraph running while we're here? May as well. Just make sure I'm not rolling. No, not yet. It's always good. So unload the previous flight. Import from SimBrief. And we want this one. That gives us a view of the airport. It hasn't got the standard instrument departure marked in. Now, why is that? SSTIK5. So we'll select SSTIK5. Was it any particular? So it's the young one. There we go. Interesting. The return is back to San Francisco if we can't do it for whatever reason. So 19 right, SSTIK5 young. Let's go and remove this. Can we remove the alternate? No. Oh yes, we can. Just to tidy up this diagram, really. Oh no, it's not going to. That's very odd. Why is it showing that leg still? Anyway, what I really wanted to come in here for was the chart of the airport. So we're here, we're going to go, yeah, so it's Bravo all the way around, basically. okay. Oh, great. You're going to put your wing through us, aren't you? You ridiculously dozy, computer-driven so-and-so. And you're going to hit that one as well. Don't you just love AI sometimes? Yeah, that's going to be a bit of an insurance job, isn't it? You've hit at least 4 planes already. I thought we'd do this just to be nosy and go and have a look around the terminals and see what's sat on the terminals, seeing as we're running FSLTL. And that is what's cratering the frame weight, by the way, is the other aeroplanes appearing. Otherwise it would be super smooth. But it's very boring having super smooth with nothing to see anywhere, isn't it? Whoa, big old 747 taking off. Wonder where he's going. It's a United big jet of some description. I think we might have to go round him. Is he waiting for us? Probably. We'll go out onto the outer ring of the taxiways then. Obviously in the real world you get a ground controller which stops this sort of mayhem from happening. So we're following those others down the airport, basically. So we can turn the ignition off. Completely forgot that. So the ground spoilers can be switched on. Just looking down the list over here. Takeoff config test is basically opening the engines to see if you get any alarms. But we should be good. Done most things. Yes, we're going to John Wayne. So it's near Long Beach, it's not the actual Long Beach airport. So yeah, I know there's some confusion about that because I wrote Long Beach, but we're actually going to John Wayne. Let's open the engines up slightly and roll a little bit faster, shall we? In fact, I'm just going to go and check the controls before we go any further. I haven't got the correct control configuration, which is why we're not taxiing very quickly. Yeah, that'd be why. So I want the A320. I don't know if I've got a Sobo A320 Mark II control. Airbus A310. Fly-by-wire A320. What have I got? A Sobo Airbus, that will do. So we might have to... Yeah, we've got a bit more thrust now. So while we're taxiing, I'm just going to check Okay, that's broken. So it's not this control set. Oh god, this simulator is a masterpiece sometimes, isn't it? We might have to go and make a new control profile for it. Unless... Let's see if I did it on this one originally. Yes, I did. That's all I was worried about, that the detents were going to hit, but it looks like they are. Okay, so we're coming up to the taxiway, which is Echo, which takes us up to 19 right. And we got some numpty flying over the airport doing aerobatics. Nobody that way. Nobody that way. We're having to look for ourselves because obviously we don't have ATC. It's a bit late to be looking, really, isn't it? So... can't see anything. Go and join the queue. Let's go and double check procedures before we get to the queue. We've done the predictive wind shear, we've armed the ground spoilers. We just need to do the lights basically, and then we'll be ready to go. I'm presuming planes are coming in on 19 left. Yeah. So we'll wait for him to leave. And we'll line up behind the departing aircraft. Okay, so lights on, strobes on, if I can find them. Full power. I'm going to take the head tracking off for a moment. Did we not reprogram this to use this runway? Oh my word. We are going to be using heading mode then. Either that or it doesn't understand the routing at all. Where's he going? So we pulled this in from SimBrief, didn't we? Did we not set the departure? I thought it came in on the flight plan. That'll be why. Oh, and it hasn't even got it. 19 right, SSTIK, it's not even listed. That'll be why. So it's made a bit of a mess of it. Okay, we'll sort it out en route. So we use heading mode for the moment. What's it doing? Why is it turning right to go left? I've selected... Oh, here we go. Now it's behaving. I'd already selected heading mode earlier and it completely ignored it. Okay, so the Airbus version 2 still isn't that brilliant. Okay, let's go into open climb. Seeing as it's not going to take any notice. I did put the ignition switch back to center, yes. So let's have a look and see if we've got a first waypoint that we can go to. FF oil. So if we can zoom this out, can we see that on our route? It should be there. There is no route appearing. Oh my word, is this completely broken? So SFO, yeah, this is broken, look. It's got completely the wrong route. I wonder if we can program it while we're in the air. Do you know what? I'm going to call it. We're going to go back to the terminal. This is how we find these things out. I'm going to reload that from SimBrief and see what it's done to the flight management computer. I think it broke it. Because it had nonsense in the flight plan. So SimBrief on the active flight plan has runway, where is it? 19 right. Although no, it's going direct SFO. So why didn't that agree with this? Why has it got a secondary route? There's SFO, KSFO, sorry. That's imported from SimBrief. If we view the operational flight plan, this is how we find out if these things work or not. So we want the route direct SFO, direct young. And it hasn't got... So direct SFO... What on earth is going on? So if we go File and open from SimBrief, download flight plan, create, no. Oh, maybe this is what's wrong. Right, it's made up this crazy flight plan where we take off, fly a teardrop back over the top of San Francisco International. So it was trying to follow it, but it looked nothing like what we had in here previously, which is really, really odd. But it does look like this. Okay, we'll let it do it this time then. It won't take long. We had a discrepancy between the two, didn't we? And I didn't trust it. But it's still a horrible, horrible flight plan. Why would it do that? This is, I just asked SimBrief to do it. So it's saying take off, double back. This obviously draws it really poorly. So if we go into Navigraph and see what it has drawn, it's made an even worse mess of it. And drawn a work of fiction using a departure that isn't chosen. But if we look at the flight plan here, it's direct SFO, direct young. So if we copy that, how odd. I've never seen this happen before. Look at the mess it's made of this. So if we go in here and paste the actual routing in, and there it is. That's what it should have said all along. So it's doing 19 right, direct to SFO. So the only way to make sense of that would be to do manual vectors to climb out to the right, which we can do this time. We'll do it properly, okay? So yeah, the import was hilariously broken, and this is why you should do a gross check of your flight plan before you just blindly take off like I did. So that may be an example to everybody. Okay. Alt and 1. Batteries on. Now, do I need to restart the traffic flight injector? No, it's still busy running away in the background. External power on. Strobe to auto. Nav to 2. Master switch for the APU to on. Start the APU. Emergency exit light to armed. No smoking to auto. Start aligning the navigation system. And then down into the cockpit. Wait for the systems to boot up. Okay, so we're going to go over to our tablet, and SimBrief pilot ID on the options page is correct still. So then in here we can go and pull this down from SimBrief, and we'll actually go and have a look at it this time. So does that look like what we've got? That's the meta report, sorry. Let's go and look at the OFP and see if it matches. "19 right, direct SFO." Yes, it is. Okay. It'd be interesting to step through the flight plan then and do a gross check of it once we've got it up and running. So in here, we're going to go to the payload page, pull it from SimBrief, apply the load instantly, and then go to the takeoff page and get, oh, we need the payload number, so 65,000 again. So that goes in as 65. And then we should be able to sync the rest of it and then calculate, and that gives us our numbers. And then we can send that to the FMGS. And then if we come in here and we clear out the messages, we'll see if we can get this time. FMGC. Init request. And we'll actually go to the flight plan this time and make sure everything's programmed properly. And not presume that anything has automatically loaded. Wait for fuel planning. And confirm the block fuel. Then go over to the performance page. And we want to look on these numbers. So we got 58 for the flex. Flaps will be 1 and 0.5 up. Where are we? Down here. 1/0.5 up. Oh no, sorry, then we have to do confirm takeoff data, don't we? That's done that. I keep forgetting that it works slightly different to any of the others. So then next phase. Okay, so the bit we didn't do last time was just check this. So KSFO, we're departing on runway 19 right. We're not doing a SID. So interesting that hasn't put a discontinuity in place, but it'll be interesting to look at the flight plan to see what that's done. So when we get into John Wayne, we're doing the... Now let's just double check what it said. So runway 20 right, navigate. 20 right, ILS 20 right, add to route. Doing the till T2, so there's an area of vectors here. In the real world you'd carry on in a straight line and then you'd be told when to turn in. And RNAV runway 20 right. So we'll see what happens when we get there. I've heard that this new version of the A320 still can't handle RNAV properly, but we'll get around it however we need to. So it should be quite an interesting route in, because you come in on this big sweeping arc in towards the destination airport, which is good fun. Okay, so this is looking a lot better now. So we want to go ILS 20 right. And what was the name of the... It was till T2. So let's see if that's all there this time. Till T2. And did we have a specific transition on that? No, it's just till T, wasn't it? And that won't be listed on here. Oh, it will actually. There we go. Till T2. Insert. Okay. So let's go and see what this has done. Yeah, look at this. It can't figure it out, can it? Shall we help it and fly the first bit by hand? It can't do it, basically. So we're going to be going managed mode. And we're going to set that to 190 degrees. That's quite amusing. The limitations of computers, eh? I've no doubt that if you did this in the Phoenix, you'd get entirely different results. But we'll see. So we're going to do an open... Oh no, we'll use VNav to get to 19,000 feet, but we'll wait until we're obviously out and ready to go. So we've done everything now this time properly. We're still going to have to do a manual departure for it to have a hope of doing what it needs to be doing. So FGCP is done. So overhead, seatbelts go back to on. External power can come off because the APU is now up and running. We need to go back to the tablet and go to the ground section and remove the GPU, remove the chocks. Press Shift and P. I think we'll reverse right this time, hey? So the big problem we've got here is this departure that that SimBrief has given us is not an automated departure. It's one you would fly by hand. I've taken the parking brake off. So we're being pushed back. We're going to ask ourselves to be pushed back to the left, away from the other aeroplanes. While we are being pushed back, we can go and put the APU bleed on, which is the compressed air to start the engines, and then we can turn the ignition system on. Whoa, I've got the switches in the wrong positions. That's interesting. So it actually started to speed up the engines there. So there we go. And then we'll stop the pushback before we crash into something. Stop! Stop! It's not going to, is it? Let's put the parking brake on. Is he going to let go? Oh no! This is a flight simulator bug. If you're too near to another truck, then he comes out as well. Brilliant. Is that we're going to drive away? Or is he just going to wait there all day now? No, he's driving away. He's lost interest. So, engine number 2 is coming up to 40%, or 340% on its way. So we have to go and do the other bits and pieces that are on the screen there. So let's go and put the transponder and TCAS on. Predictive wind shear is not switched on, so we're going to put on system number 1. Okay, engine number 2 is up and running. We're just starting engine number 1 now. So yeah, we'll ignore this. It doesn't know what it's doing. So what we'll do is take off on manual, climb out over the hills, and we'll do like these guys are doing it. We'll turn, turn, unturn. Be interesting to see what his flight plan is. So, same as before, we're going to taxi round. I apologise for the repeating myself here, but... So engine number 1 is just coming up, so you'll see all of this disappear off the screen in a moment as soon as it comes up to speed. Well, that's the plan anyway. Oh, we haven't got the fuel pumps running. Oh, it's all going pear-shaped. What else have we not done? So engines are up and running, APU bleed can come off, APU can come off. There we go. That's looking a lot better. So flaps can go to take off. The controllers are working this time as well. It's a comedy of errors tonight, isn't it? Have we got the taxi lights on? Not yet, but we have now. And now we're going to go and play dodgems with the other big jets again. It's all fun and games. It's amazing though how much you learn when things go slightly awry. Or you learn about the limitations of some of these software add-ons and embellishments and whatever they are. So in this case, this version of the Airbus, it can't automatically do everything, and we didn't do a gross check of the flight plan to realise that it was going to be manual control to begin with. We couldn't just go and take off and press autopilot and sit back. And plus we had a discrepancy between LittleNavMap and Navigraph. We had two completely different looking flight plans. I've got no brakes. Oof, that was a bit close. Goodbye, Mr. United. We're off to meet that. Oh my word, look at the queue this time. We're going to be in that queue for ages. Everybody and their dog wants to take off on runway 19 right this time. Can we jump across at an earlier point? We can jump across here, can't we? There's nobody using this runway because of the wind direction, I'm guessing. Although we did see a 747 take off earlier, didn't we? But I think that was probably a human not paying any attention to the runway that was being used. We're going to be in this queue forever. Oh my word! Well, we've seen nothing on this runway at all. So we're going to use it and taxi along it to shortcut to get into that queue before anybody else joins the queue. Is he coming across as well? I think he might be. I guess we may as well watch the departures. Look at this lot. Have I accidentally joined a group flight or something? Well, yeah, because I'm just looking at live stream comments. Someone says, "Is this live traffic?" I think FSLTL picks it up from Flight Radar 24's data feed, doesn't it? Oh my word, this is going to be the biggest queue ever. Are there any humans in it, or is it all machines? I think it's all machines. Yeah. What's the guy at the end waiting for? I just turned name tags on and off. These are all FSLTL aircraft. If you go and look at live departures of San Francisco, you'll probably see them all. We've got a moment. Should we go and have a look? No, it's making it up as it goes along. They're not real. That queue over there is getting hilarious. Oh, this is funny. Are they going to be allowed to ever cross that runway? Oh, come on. Please let the United plane go. I want to take off today, please. Today would be good. It's a bit quieter in here, isn't it? Can we, if we lean across, can we see any further? No. You can see his wingtip. He's not moving, is he? As the computer just had a fit and decided it's not going to do it anymore. See, we could take an executive decision in the interests of not sitting here all night. And ask FSLTL to regenerate everything. And it's done it, look, it's had a problem. That's why it was going wrong. This is where we decide the wind's changed direction and nothing's going to take off. Let's have a look behind us. Have they all vanished? No, but there's a traffic jam behind us. Okay, so FSLTL just ate its own lunch. Looks like we're first in the queue then. And that's a human, because they've got that wrong. And they've come in on the wrong side. So we're going to get out here before anything generates in our way. I think FSLTL just ate its own lunch and decided to start over again with that whole queue of aeroplanes. Or the wind changed and it's thought, oh, rubbish, they're all taking off in the wrong direction. Okay. Strobes on, whoops. Strobes on, not off. I'm just going to double check what we've got here. So APU bleed is done. I'm just looking down at the list, so ignition can come back off. TCAS is on, but it will stay on standby. The ground spoilers can be on. Flaps are on 1. Parking brake off. We're ready on the direction already, although it's more like 195 degrees. Selected. We're going to go, I'm going to take it initially out to 18,000 and do an open climb to get there. So we're just waiting for the V-speeds to come through, which is now. It hasn't got them, look, it's gone wrong. So, gear up. So, we are not going to follow this plan. Okay. So, autopilot on. 195 degrees. What's it doing? It did it again, look. It wanted to try and go map route instead of commanded heading. And it was going to turn the opposite direction than the flight plan. So, there we go. So open climb to 18,000, okay? Which will take us out over the hills. So looking on the map, just to explain this, I'm going to turn right now, which is what some of the others have been doing, but I'm going to double back in over, because it wants us to fly over KSFO, or over SFO, I should say, the VOR. So we're now going to turn north. In the real world, if this flight plan was given out, the controller would be giving you vectors off the takeoff. You wouldn't be just, you know, having to figure this out for yourself. So we're now going to turn north, and then we'll almost double back on ourselves to 140 degrees. Let's have a look outside. So the whole point of this was to see what this airplane works like. It's still very quirky, I think, is the answer. So we don't need the ground spoilers on anymore. TCAS is still showing that it's on standby. How very strange. They haven't done anything weird with TCAS in here, have they? No. Anyway. So, we're now going to do a turn towards 141 degrees to join our route. Well, that's the plan. So we're just coming up through 10,000 feet, so the 250 knot restriction has come away. Oh, mouse controls are a pain in the backside, aren't they? So we probably will come in, although it's speeding up, so the turn radius is getting bigger as we speak, so we may overshoot. So we may end up coming in. Yeah, we probably are going to overshoot. So we'll have to go for a bigger angle than 140 even. So what we can do is go direct to young. But we'll see what this does first. We could slow ourselves down, but it'll be interesting to see what this does. So if we were to clear this, clear that, clear that, clear that. And use direct to now in here. And we almost could put a new waypoint in, couldn't we, that's en route, although I don't think right. VPSLA. VPSLA is one we could use. VPSLA. What radial do we want into it? So we need to stop this turning. Okay, it's not going to make any sense, is it? It's done a direct to, but it's also put a load of rubbish in front of it. So this is having fun, isn't it? YYUNG should have followed it. Right, it's now working. So at 18,000 feet just, so we can go and go standard and go to 37,000, which was our supposed target altitude. While that was all going on, we didn't put the lights on at 10,000 feet. Off, I mean. So we basically had to completely throw away that initial part of routing, which was just garbage. I think I was talking to a friend who flies VATSIM a lot the other evening, and he'd had a go in this and said that the VNAV on it is hilariously bad still. But we'll find that out because we're doing a VNAV approach at the other end. Why is TCAS stuck on standby? It's on TARA. I think it might be a bit broke. Because if we even turn it to standby, then that makes sense. If we then go and put this on to on, it still says standby. Oh well. You can't have everything, I suppose. Unless there's something obvious I'm missing. I think the weather radar works now, but there's no weather to see in this part of the world, is there? It's almost completely clear. So let's increase the range on the navigation display. It's one big long leg, isn't it? Until we get out to Young. And then that's the beginning of the star. So we've got a little while now. Some of the traffic around now. I think we've put the passengers through enough with 2 takeoffs. Should we let them go to toilet? I think if you've got a nice, neat flight plan where the airplane doesn't have to figure anything out for itself, it's fine. But if there's anything like looping back on a VOR over the top of the airport or anything like that, it's going to have real problems because it hasn't got any knowledge about, you know, typical ways of doing things. And even then, when I did the turn over the airport, I should have restricted speed to 250 to keep the turn radius nice and tight. But as we came up through 10,000 feet, obviously the auto throttle was still programmed to take us out to a faster altitude. That's interesting. This is apparently can do super speeds, look. I've never seen a... Let's take this off of managed speed. Let's see how fast it can go then. surely the speed limit must be just out of view, but it's going to creep back down as we climb. Or it should. Yeah, there it is, look. So that's enough for me to know that. I'll put it back on managed mode and let it creep back down again. I didn't mean to do that. I'm just looking around now to see what else is odd. We don't get charts on this, do we? We do get an operational flight plan now. I do get the feeling that Inibuilds may have bitten off more than they can chew when they had a go at doing an A320. Whether this is the foundation of the programming for another aeroplane they're going to be working on, I don't know. But given that Phoenix have already got a very good A320, it seems a bit silly to make another one. Unless they're aiming at doing an A330 and an A380 and, you know, they've got future plans for the foundational programming behind a lot of the systems. Oh, I forgot, these aren't synchronized, are they? Is there an option to do that in the tablet? Link instruments. Yes, you can look. Very good. iOS line time, I've got it on instant. Okay. So what's the weather doing? 8 knots gusting, 16, 220 degrees. Few clouds, 9,000 feet. There's hardly anything around. So, looking at the flight plan, we're coming out down. Should we turn the other aeroplanes off so we can't see them? And we can concentrate on what we're doing. So we won't need to start descent until we're just crossing over the top of Santa Barbara. And then we got this interesting route where we fly out, and obviously then you would have vectors. So we'll continue on out for a while to give ourselves a longer run in onto the ILS, but we'll have a look at the charts in Navigraph when we get there. I think it's just reading comments from the Sim channel there, with saying, yeah, this A320 looks a bit bust. But I think it's common to a lot of these aeroplanes where it's easy to expect the aeroplane to be able to do wonders, and they can't always. You know, sometimes it requires a human to make the decisions and maybe to program further pieces in. Obviously, in the real world, ATC would give vectors off of that takeoff to fly out and then come back over the VOR. So they would be, you know, giving instructions at the point of takeoff, probably. So as they clear you, they probably give you an extra few bits of instruction beyond your routing. Because it's very rare that the routing ever has the SID or the star in it, isn't it? Because of the weather. Or the departure runway could, obviously could change. It's good to see it go wrong though, because you don't ever learn anything if everything works. Okay, I'm going to go and grab a coffee, but the TCAS is obviously bust, isn't it? It could have been to do with me restarting it that broke the programming, maybe. I was just looking to see if there's a secondary set of TCAS switches anywhere. I don't think there are. I know in some models of the A320 you get a second set of switches, but I thought that was only for the COM radios. Sometimes one of these panels up here has got another COM radio, hasn't it? But it depends what version of the A320 and what fit out it's got on it. It's interesting the crew supply is on by default. I don't think that's right. Seems a little bit wrong. I wonder if there's anything about TCAS hidden in the depths of here. So if we went and look into Atsu, does the printer work? Are they having a laugh? I didn't think the printer worked in this version. I wouldn't have thought it would. And we can't do weather requests either. We can receive messages, but it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff missing, isn't there? They're not important things to have for a simulator, but they're fun things to have for procedural simulation. Oh well, never mind. I guess the problem is if they're going to simulate TCAS working, that also means you're going to have to simulate the modes. So you're going to have TA and TARA, so then you're going to have the autopilot respond to something coming in above or below you in the appropriate manner according to the laws of the Airbus. It's an enormous subject all of a sudden, isn't it? So coming out towards cruise altitude, I'm going to go grab a coffee and be back in a bit. So you can admire the coastline of California as we fly down towards Long Beach. Should we pull up LittleNavMap and go window, open window layout, minimal, so you can see where we are. I'll put it over the other side, out of the way. Right, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, just going to check the volume levels are all okay. They're looking fine. So back inside our A320, the stock Flight Sim A320 version 2, we have TCAS stuck in standby, but other things seem to be working. Its behaviour when faced with a slightly strange flight plan was fun. So we've got about 120 miles until top of descent. Let's go and have a look then and pre-arm ourselves this time with some information, which is always good. So here's the star, the tilty star. So we come in over Zipper, a whirl, then we've got a flight level restriction or constraint above 260, at flight level 260, so that's 26,000 feet at teacups. Then we have Rucky at 280 knots above 210. So 21,000 feet. So we have to get to 280 knots for Rucky. So Borb between 14,000 and 11,000. Then you've got Stife at 9. Lax BB at 5,000. Oh, Kane, sorry, at 7,000. Clever at 5,000. I love the names of waypoints sometimes. Behair at okay, there's no restriction on that one. So then you're into the approach. So if we go and look at the RNAV approach chart, this will normally have, here we go, there's a step descent coming down. So coming into Hucum at 2,900. Then Lemon, Vegu, and on down. But from Hucum, how many miles out is that? 2.2, 2.4, 2.7. So that's only 6.6. So that's probably within range of ILS by then to be able to see it. I bet if we look on LittleNavMap, you'll see the feathers drawn on LittleNavMap, which is always quite useful. So if we go and have a little look, yeah. So Hucum's just outside ILS range, so if you're going in the right direction, you'll pick them up. Do we get any information on what sort of system it is? So although this is the, yeah, look, for uncompensated Baro-VNAV systems, LNAV-VNAV not authorized below 5 degrees centigrade, glide path not coincident, pilot controlled lighting. So we just need to keep our wits about us, really. There's a building out there to be aware of. That's 475 feet. But we should still be at 3,000 feet at least. At Behair, wasn't it? Let's go and have another look. So, oh yeah, it's free descent from Clever, but you'd be in real trouble if you found yourself only 500 feet off the floor when you got to Behair. So, in terms of speed restrictions, there really aren't any on the approach because, yeah, it's just approach speeds. Final approach course 196. Should we go and put the destination information in on the performance screens? So next phase, descent. Next phase, here we go. So QNH. Let's go and look up the weather for John Wayne. QNH is 1013. Temperature at John Wayne is 23 centigrade. Wind 205 knots. 200 degrees slash 05. And that should be all we need. So we'll just trundle along at 37,000 feet until we get there. It'd be interesting to take a look at the Airbus A310 later at some point in the weekend, see what they've done with that. Obviously it's not as automated as the 320. It'd be fascinating to see if it works correctly. The A300 from Inibuilds is a whole different story. It's I thought it was a much better aeroplane than the 310. Obviously it's built by the same people. I don't know if it's the same team though. And obviously if they release it under the Asobo name, there appears to be lots of restrictions in terms of what they're allowed to do. So you can see there are some airplanes turning up on TCAS. So even though it says TCAS is in standby mode, it is working because we can see the other planes on the radar. There's one of concern to us. I don't know if, I guess because TCAS isn't on, it's just not going to alert. So if things get within 5 miles of us, normally you get a TCAS proximity warning. So there. I can't remember how this works. Is that thousands of feet away from you? Who knows this on the live stream? I think that means thousands of feet below you. I can never remember if it's in hundreds or thousands. It's such a shame though. It seems to be such a minor thing that when you start thinking about it, it's actually quite a major thing in terms of, the autopilot integration with TCAS and how it should react to it. So maybe it isn't a surprise that it's not fully implemented. Got a 40 knot crosswind at the moment. Just checking that we haven't missed anything else too obvious on the way. That's all looking fine. Should we have a look around this with the drone camera while we're flying? I'm just wondering why that's turning. I wasn't aware that we had a huge turn in the flight plan, unless the wind's changed. So the modelling is really good. Like really, really good. And they've even got, the little ties on the wings. And the paintwork for the clearance areas for walking. Various fins for measuring the airflow for the fly-by-wire. Pitot tubes. It is amazing, isn't it? The level of detail that goes into these simulators these days. When we pick holes over tiny details to do with avionics, but then when you've got something this good, it's a shame, he says, as we go inside the aeroplane. It has no body, obviously, but it has got this kind of fake interior visual effect. But no, when you see this kind of modelling, it's very impressive, isn't it? Okay. So we've got top of descent coming up at Teacups. So we will go look at our star on the charts. So we need to get down to 260. Sorry, we have to be above 260 at Teacups. Or 260 or above, technically. So we'll go for 280. Be interesting, actually, because obviously VNav, or managed descent, if you want to call it managed altitude, will pick the descent profile for us, won't it? So should we try that? We'll just go and tell it we want to come down, and it will tell us top of descent. So we'll tell it, what's the altitude of the airport at John Wayne? Elevation 50 feet. So 2,800 feet is what we're aiming for, or 2,500 feet then, sorry, is what we eventually want to get to. It'd be interesting just to target that and see what the airplane does. So shortly before we go through top of descent, actually let's go and have a look through this first. We never did that full gross check, did we? So there's those numbers, look, with it coming down on the reciprocal of the runway direction. So it's got all of these in, and then it's got, why has it got 280 knots? And it's saying the same speed after 10,000 feet. You'd think it would have... Well, let's see what it does. It would just be fascinating to watch and see what decisions it makes. So Adam is saying, will I do a first look at all of the new aeroplanes? Of course I will. I'm actually looking forward to it. Anything that's vaguely complicated, I'll write functional procedures up for as well, just to help people whiz through getting airplanes ready. because I'm very aware that they probably won't have any documentation with them. So yeah, for the more complicated ones, I'll go and hit the books. The way I typically do it is go and get a real pilot operating handbook, if I can find one. And then I'll crib that and figure out what is simulated, so what is worth bothering with, and make the procedure out of the things that we can actually do, but in the order of the real checklist. And when things are in a specific order, and if it's not obvious why, I will invariably try to find out why. I'm getting the Aviator edition purely because I'm going to remove 2020 off of the computer when it arrives. So to have all the airplanes, although the way I understand it, I didn't actually need to get Aviator, because I think anything you've bought previously, it gets grandfathered into you. So we'll wait and see. I also understand that if you get a lesser version, you just pay the difference to upgrade. And also, if you if you rent an aircraft or get it on a limited release, you then pay the difference to pay the full aeroplane. You don't pay again. Because in the marketplace, although the developers will have to opt into the scheme, there's the idea of free trials and rentals, isn't there? I can't remember off the top of my head how the free trials work, or whether it's a limited time trial or something like that, like a rental. I think that's how the rentals work. MSFS, I'm just searching it up on a different screen. MSFS Marketplace 2024 rentals. So it will be set by the creator of a product. There will be a rental period for products set by the creator. It will enable them to set a period of time where the user can rent a product. It could be for a day, a few days, or longer. And there will be price bands for rentals. Gifting. In addition to the rental system, you will be able to gift products and virtual currency to a friend. Simply load up a product page and choose the gift option instead. You will need to know their gamer tag, and then once done, they will have the content added to their library. That'd be great for like myself, where I may want to run promotions now and again and give out aeroplanes as an award. So here's so if a user does rent a product, say for $5, and the full price of the product is $25 to buy, then provided it's within a specific time period, then the user will only pay the difference. So I imagine it'll be within the rental period, won't it? But they haven't specified that yet. I was reading that from the FS Elite website, by the way. But the only thing I don't like is that the developers get to opt into that framework or not. So you're still going to get the shovelware sellers that won't opt in, where people will waste their money for an aeroplane they think is going to be great and get their fingers burnt, just as they do at the moment. So it's a shame that that hasn't been shut off. Yeah, I'm just reading the comment there about 2024 being potentially very buggy at release. I'm just going to take it on the chin and we'll find out how buggy it is. The fact that they're not supporting DirectX 11 is potentially a good thing, because then they focus all of their resources on making one system work well. I find it fascinating that they are going to support 2020 for a long time though, so what a long time means, nobody really knows yet. We should have been descending, by the way. Completely forgot to command it. So what we're going to do to help it... Now, have we got the profile? Yeah, the profile marker's gone past us, look. So we're going to help the aeroplane come down. And throw the spoilers out. And let it catch up with where it should have been. So this would be a good test. So yeah, speed brake's still out. Yes, we know. So we're coming down very quickly to see if we can catch up with the profile, and then we'll let it get on with it. Got busy talking. So we are above the profile at the moment. Now, there were some restrictions, weren't there? We need to be down to 280 knots. We're already below 280 knots. Though it says at 280 knots. So does it want us to be doing 280 knots? That's very odd. Is that written into here? No, it isn't. Slightly odd. Although it is increasing, look, it's going to 270. So it's just flashing away over there, telling us we've got the speed brakes out. We know we're coming down quickly. We're waiting for the profile to appear. Hopefully it will appear very soon. What aeroplane am I looking forward to in 2024? All of them. No, I don't know. I've not really thought about it. I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised by how good some of them are. So we have a look at some of these. So if we press flight plan. It says 280 at Borb. It said 280 at Rucky, but obviously it didn't. It was below it, wasn't it? So will it try and... It's still coming down really hard. So although it's aiming for 14,000, look, at Borb. Let's go and have a look at the chart. So that's the top range, yeah. Is it going to make it? It's got 20 miles to lose another 10,000 feet, 12,000 feet. Or 11,000 feet to go in 20 miles. I think it'll do it. And it's creeping back towards 280 knots, which is good. It's funny, I used to fly a lot with work. The number of times we descended with air brakes out all the way. And I knew what they were doing because they would like be a few minutes late departing, for example, and they were staying as high and as fast as they could for as long as they could, and then falling out of the sky with the air brakes on to try and, you know, grab a few minutes back. Just reading the live stream comments, sounds like Southwest. There does seem to be an awful lot of, how would you put it, colourful reaction on the internet to some of the internal US airlines. That's amazing. So they just glide in. Shouldn't laugh, really. So down to 19,000. We're just about going to scrape into Borb at 14, I reckon. So we're still on plan. 18,500. No, we're going to be slightly high, aren't we? But we're still coming down on full spoilers all the way. Obviously we need to go to local air pressure now. Did we look it up earlier? We did, didn't we? 1013, and it's already on that. That's good. Same weather that we had further upstate. Oh, nice weather. Just what we asked for landing in, hey? Perfect. Should we have a look at that from outside? Or from inside, sorry. Great. This is just what we needed, really, wasn't it? We're going to have an instrument landing. To be honest, it doesn't make any difference in an Airbus, does it? So we come in about 1,000 feet high through the waypoint. And now we're looking for 9,000 at Stife. With an eventual aim, we're getting to 2,500 feet, but not for quite some time yet. So we may catch up with the profile on this leg then. We were only 1,000 late at Borb. I think one of the things I'd like to do in some of the big jets in 2024 when it arrives is go and do things like the expressway approach into LaGuardia. Some of the famous, and the Paro approach, some of the more famous difficult approaches. Here we go, we've got the profile coming, so we can come off the spoilers now and let the aeroplane come down on target. Notice we don't get the detail about where you are on the profile. You just get the dot. Or is that a Boeing thing with the chart? That might be a Boeing thing thinking about it. Hooray! So it's now chasing the profile nicely. The speed's coming down to 250 knots as we're at 10,000 feet. So now we're at 10,000, we can go and put the landing lights on. We've already done the barometric pressure. So we're going to see this bit of fun here where we go back to heading mode as we're doing the reciprocal to simulate going and picking up or simulate taking vectors from ATC basically. Is it actually marked in here as vectors? Manual, there we go. Then there's a discontinuity before we get to Hookham, and that will correspond with, if we go and look on the chart, yeah, so Saga, from Behar to Saga even, there's this discontinuity. So we're going manual at that point, but then picking up the route again. But it's fine, because we will not be flying on autopilot at that point. Let's go and check the navigation radio. So it's just telling us about top of descent there to remind us. So we've got 111. Where is it? Oh, of course, it's RNAV. But interestingly, although it doesn't give you the frequency here, if you look on a different chart, there is 11175, so it does have ILS. It's just, this is the RNAV approach where you just follow the markers, you know, the altitudes in and the GPS waypoints. But we are going to use the benefit of ILS because it does have ILS. It's just not specifically on this procedure. So we just need to extend out after Behar in that direction until we're at the point we want to be to turn in for Hookham. So what I may do is ask it only to come down to 3,000 feet, not 2,500. So let's reduce the range on this slightly. We'll increase the range on that one slightly for the moment. It's good that these are independent. Should we go and have a look outside? Famous last words. And the weather says, oh no you don't. So we're just coming over the coast in a moment, honest. It's great, isn't it, when that happens? Look at the view. It's like a 70s horror movie, isn't it? We're going to get zombie pirates climbing up the windshield in a moment. There's an off knob at the bottom of... Oh, of course, yes, there is. It works! We have TCAS! Not that it really does much. How dare they go and implement an extra switch between standby and on and have an on-off knob as well? How very dare they? Fuel, wing tank. Oh, we had an imbalance then. That was interesting. So don't bank the aeroplane, it doesn't like doing it. We can see the coastline, there's the beach. It's a lovely foggy day at the beach today. 250 knots. So what speed restrictions has it got programmed in? So it's going to do 250 all the way out. So we're going to be in charge of it basically, because at the point it goes manual it's still saying 250 knots. I might slow it down once we get past Behar then and go to selected speed mode and use a bit of human judgment. Yeah, we should get the passengers to sit down really, shouldn't we? Not following procedures at all today, or not doing well at following them. So I'm going to tell everybody to finish whatever they're doing, put all their bags away, turn their phones off again. Come to Long Beach, it's lovely and sunny sometimes. That's interesting. LittleNavMap is not giving me the direction of that leg. Have they changed the programming of LittleNavMap? So 16 degrees magnetic. So we'll wait for this to make the turn, and then we'll go managed heading mode and get managed speed mode on and start slowing the aeroplane down to a more manageable speed. So we're at 5,000 feet at the moment, which was a restriction at Clever. Now it's going to drop for 3,000. So you can see there's the final part of the route. There's a tendency amongst people to kind of try and join it up to make the simulator help them a bit. I'm not going to do that. So we're going to go and say managed speed mode now. Sorry, managed heading mode. Sorry, selected heading mode. Oh my word, I've had half a glass of wine. You'd never tell, would you? And we'll go selected speed mode and bring it back to 220 to begin with. So we're going to carry on this direction. We're going to let it bring us down to 3,000 feet automatically. But then it's on us. So just double checking once again, we've got the ILS programmed in. Even though the procedure doesn't use it, doesn't stop us from using it if it's available. So speed is bleeding off to 220 knots. We've got the landing lights on. We're going to go and bring in the first stage of flaps. Drop it down to 200 knots. So, looking at the plan, you can see where we are now. Look, there's Hookham. So we want to be able to turn it around and come in onto that ILS. Yeah. So there's these hills. We want to be at least 1,000 foot clear of them. So we want to turn before we get to them, ideally. So we'll just leave it a little bit longer. And then we'll initiate the turn to go the reciprocal of the direction we're going. We can make the turn tighter by extending the flaps further. Obviously we can target 180 more quickly as well by using the spoilers, which I've just extended. Put them back in again. Okay, let's go for the turn. So right turn. So you can see our little aeroplane is out here, and it's look at how tight that turn radius is now. Now we've slowed down. And we'll put ourselves on an intercept. So if we reduce the range on the map, we'll put ourselves purposely on an intercept with Hookham. So it looks like about 150 degrees or so. So if we were to go and put this on landing system over here, yeah, we can see the data look already. So we'll put that back on nav, or arc mode, sorry, and reduce the range on it over here. And we'll put ourselves on landing system mode, and we'll start pulling this angle in. So you can see the glide slope approaching. I'm going to turn the autopilot off so I have control now. We're going to overshoot slightly, but that's fine. What's that complaining about? It was a very late complaint, wasn't it? Whoa. Let's get it back on the flight plan, shall we?
2,500.
Should we sit ourselves back down? I was trying to let you see more, but don't think it's worth doing. Let's get the gear down. Gear is down, flaps are full, but on the glide slope we just got to get on the centre line, which I'm doing really badly at. Embarrassingly badly at. It'd help if I watched the attitude indicator, really, wouldn't it? So we got a 2-knot crosswind, which is nothing. I'm doing hopelessly at multitasking this evening, I'm afraid. More or less there. So should we, while this is fairly stable, turn on the head tracking and we can look out.
1,000.
Oh, we're off to the right. The engines are having a bad day, aren't they? Should we turn off the auto throttle now? We've gone high. We'll just correct for that. Busy looking at the throttles while the aeroplane picked up a load of lift. Yes, I know. I'm just trying to get back on the glide slope. Now, I had a go in this the other night on a group flight, and it floated hilariously on the runway. So we'll see what happens. Whoa, look at the throttles going mad. Do you see that thrust difference there? Oh, sorry, lift difference.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Okay, that was a lot better. So I'm on full reversers, but nothing much is happening. I'm going to go for wheel brakes now as well. The reversers didn't seem to do very much at all. They were slowing it down, but nothing like you'd imagine. So spoilers off, flaps up. That was odd. So it's nothing like the Phoenix. Let's say that much. So we're off the runway, so the landing lights can come off. The strobes can come back to auto, so they should go off on their own. And we survived. Despite the aeroplane's best attempts on finals to chuck us all over the place, the engines suddenly surged. But the only reason I found myself needing to accelerate was because, yeah, we were getting dangerously slow. But again, that's just experience of the aeroplane and knowing how it will behave on finals. That's the only problem I feel with some of these airliners, is they become quite unpredictable. Some of the cheaper ones, you can't complain with this one because it's free, I suppose, but the better ones remain entirely predictable. But maybe that's a function of using them a lot. So you just, you know what you're expecting, you can anticipate what's going to go on. There goes an Alaska Airlines flight. Oh, we need to cross over, don't we, for the gates? I came off the wrong side. Where's the airport chart? Let's go and have a look. Airport info. Juliet, we can cross over on. Which I guess is this next one. Yeah. We should have taxi lights on. And we are going to hope there's nothing coming. Can't see anything. I'm not sure of the geography of John Wayne Airport. We'll lift the weather as soon as I get parked up, and we'll put the drone camera in the air and show you where we are. So we're going to park up at the terminal. Obviously this is just their stock airport, it's not a high fidelity version of it. But that's fine. So parking brake on. We can cheat slightly and go to ground and say, can you please put some chocks in place for us? And can we have the GPU please? So then we can go and switch that on. And then we can shut the engines down. Then it will cross over the power automatically. So let's go and remove the weather for those of you that wanted to see where we are. So we are at John Wayne Airport, obviously. Long Beach is just a little way further up the coast. There's a municipal airport, Long Beach Daughter. That can't be its full name, can it? No, Doherty Field, sorry. And Zamperini Field's over there as well, which is again another small municipal airport. But this is the bigger airport that I've just come into. Or slightly bigger. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So Catalina's out there as well. It always used to be good fun to try and land it or take off from Catalina with aeroplanes that shouldn't be capable of doing it. Should we go and have a little look and see what they've done with the road network? See, I can't imagine it's done very accurately because Flight Sim tends to be terrible at this. I say they're getting better, and then you notice that a part of the road is collapsed over here. Maybe they've had an earthquake. It's pretty cool though, isn't it? There's a CRJ parked over there. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. So it was an interesting flight to try out the A320 version 2. We saw that real strangeness at the start where we relied on the aircraft too much, and that proved lots of things around, procedures and knowing when you should have to take control and making sure your records are in order, making sure your flight plan is in order across different applications, and doing a gross check of the flight plan. Knowing, that you're going to be doing a manual takeoff because it's out of the realms of what the computer can do. Anyway, there we go. Why have we still got engines running? What on earth is going on? Oh no, it's not. That's just the sound of the So APU is off. Engines are off. Is that a sound of an aeroplane nearby because of FSLTL maybe? I think it might be. I hope he's taking off. No, he's just gone into the grass. What was going on there? Is that a human? No. That was an FSLTL aircraft. Oh my word. We didn't just see that. We'll look the other way. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. This was fun. Yeah, there was lots for us to learn and obviously some bits to giggle at as well. So, see you again soon. Take care. Yeah, I need to go and send the diggers out.